Hi, I'm Stephanie McLean, and I'm here with Luz Gonzalez in beautiful Berkeley, California, talking about women in tech and her experience starting her company, Convive. So tell me all about Convive.
There's a lot to be said about Convive. So when I talk about Convive, I can be a little bit cheesy, but
Cheesy's okay.
It's so meaningful, right? So Convive, I've been working on Convive for about 2 years. Deep and I, Deep is my co-founder. We've been working for about over a year now. I left my 9 to 5 and I went all in about 6 months ago.
Wow.
And so now it's all in. And what Convive is building on is really my childhood experiences and lived experiences.
Okay.
So when I was 9 years old, I immigrated to the United States. And when we moved over to Gilroy, California, garlic capital of the world.
Go garlic, go Gilroy.
garlic.
McDonald's had garlic fries. I think they were Gilroy garlic fries. I think it put Gilroy on the map.
Exactly. Excuse you, we were already on the map.
Already on the map, right? Gotta love the stinking rose. That's what they call it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when we moved to Gilroy, so Deep and I were working on a project, and he was also an immigrant. He had an immigrant experience, but his was a little bit different from mine.
Okay.
So when I came here, around where we were living, so when we first got here, it was like 21 of us in one apartment.
Wow,
right?
Nice. Which is
So
not
it's
an
all
uncommon
family.
experience, right?
Exactly. So for immigrant families, if you just arrived,
right,
that is not
coming to America.
Exactly. And I remember I always had enough people to play with because
right,
they all lived in my apartment. But also around us there was relative, poverty. There were gangs, I remember, and I think this is not answering the question anymore.
It's okay.
Going off a little bit.
Well, I was going to ask you what your background is.
It's going to be tied.
You beat me to the point.
It's tied.
Okay.
So with the gang violence, and I remember I'm the least gangy person you can know, and I remember being asked, so what are you? Are you a sureña or norteña? And it's like, well, I guess since I'm fresh off the boat, I must be sureña. And so this is what I grew up around, and that really informed how I saw the world. So I considered myself a global citizen.
Okay.
I considered myself not really from here nor there, but I really had an international scope. And so when I started studying, I was really interested in international challenges, international problems, and also I understood what it was like to live, paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
With my parents. I saw the conflict, I saw the frustration that comes up from it, and I saw that it could be better. And so when I was at Cal, go Bears, when I went to Berkeley, I was really lucky. I got a Fulbright scholarship. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, I feel very blessed. And with that Fulbright scholarship, what would happen is at the beginning of the semester, I would get one check. And that check was supposed to last me through the rest of the semester.
Right.
And
did you blow it in the first month?
No, not really.
Oh, okay, I got
What I wanted to do was take that check and be a responsible person and say, all right, I have 6 months to make this last. Let me cut it up into these chunks. But you're not able to do that with banking products. So towards the end of the semester, I would always be struggling.
Right.
And so even at that point, I had this idea of it has to be better. The banking experience for myself and for my family, it has to be better. And so that's where, going back to the why Convive, where does Convive come from? That's where Convive came from. So I went to law school, again, back at Cal.
Okay.
And
so you went to UC Berkeley for law school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I went to law school at University of Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reformed lawyers. Yes.
Reformed lawyers.
And the whole reason I went was because of, again, my global experience and my understanding of what it's like to live in relative poverty. I really wanted to work on global challenges. My background was international human rights and international criminal law. And the more I learned about the legal system, the more disillusioned I was with not the entire system. I think some really great things are happening, but just the potential for impact, the potential for progress, and the potential for innovation. And so then I said, I can't stay in this world. It's not for me. And that's where I went to a hackathon that I wanted my brother to go to. And my brother wasn't served by the education system in the United States. And so I wanted him to be part of something that was like Silicon Valley
Right.
where he could feel like he belonged and where he could succeed. And this was a hackathon for underrepresented youth, for them to think about challenges in their own community and use technology to
solve
address them.
Okay.
And so when I asked him, he said yes. And I was surprised, actually. I was like, oh, you want to come? So then I said, we're going to move heaven and earth. We're going to make sure that you go to this hackathon. So we go to the hackathon. And I wanted to be a volunteer, right? Because I wanted to be sort of behind the scenes and like looking
kind of
at my
figure
brother.
out the lay of the land, right?
Well, no, I wanted to see my brother like geek out on technology. And so I said, you guys put me anywhere. I just want to be a volunteer. So they put me as a facilitator of a group. And as I was working with this group of kiddos, they were using technology and apps to solve issues in their own communities as underserved communities, and I just thought, oh my god, it finally clicked. And I thought, why did I go to law school?
No, but you know what, I think the legal education is good because it provides you a good foundation to be like really analytical, and it really improves your thought process. It's kind of like that forest and the trees thing, right? So I think law school really teaches you kind of, okay, yes, you want the forest, but let's break it down, and we have to plant trees to get to the forest. So I think that's exceptional in business because you kind of are like, okay, you want to have a successful business, but it teaches you how to kind of go back and like, you know, break the parts down. So law school is very helpful.
Yeah, sure. I mean, especially now that we're building the business, it's definitely helpful to have that in mind. But so at that event, it was just, I joke around that it was like the heavens parted and like the angels sang.
Oh, nice. What song did they sing? What was the soundtrack for your business?
I don't know.
Was it like money, 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 money? Like, what was the soundtrack?
No, I do imagine something
or was
like
it like
angelic.
Heal the World? Kind of like a Heal the World type of thing? You think that would be your jam?
I don't know. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. It's an important question.
It is a very important question. I mean, if it was a movie, it would need a soundtrack, right? If you make it huge. Mark Zuckerberg got a movie. You could get a movie one day. So, I mean, I think you should totally think about what soundtrack you'd want to send.
I'm going to come back to you with that.
Man in the Mirror might be a good one.
I don't know. It might have to be a Spanish one. Who knows? Maybe like a
that
Selena.
Is true, like a Selena one.
Bitty Bitty Bum. Nice. I don't know. But I have to think. I have to think about it.
Okay, got you. I feel like we have to do research and have to do a follow-up on like soundtracks to your startup.
I'll get back to you.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So on that fateful day, things clicked, and then my kids that I was a facilitator for, they won the entire hackathon.
Oh, nice.
And so they were invited to this conference called the Lean Startup Conference.
Okay.
And at the Lean Startup Conference, because I was their facilitator, I said they clearly need a mentor. They need a chaperone. They need somebody to be there with them. Yeah, and so I got a ticket. I had no idea it was like $1,000.
Wow.
Right, so then I got to go, and when I was there, I was just in heaven. I was just like, this is where I belong. Do you have an instance in your life where you just, everything felt so right, and you felt like, this is where I'm supposed to be?
Yes, and my soundtrack to that would be Moment for Life, or One Moment in Time. I'm soundtrack
You and soundtrack.
prepared. I like soundtrack.
I'm not
prepared.
a soundtrack person.
One moment in time.
So when I was at this conference, everything inside me said, this is what you've been searching for.
Nice.
This is everything you've been working for, the international human rights background, the international criminal law, the international political economy at Cal. This is where
your
you're
purpose,
supposed to be.
right? You've kind of found your purpose.
And so then I was like, all right, I'm leaving the legal career, the legal field, and somehow I'm going to get into tech.
Right.
And so I would go to tech events, and people would be like, what are you doing here?
Just tell them you're a lawyer and they think you're significantly smarter than everybody else.
No,
I
but
feel
they
like law
also...
school and med school, just tell people, I'm a lawyer. And then they're like, oh, she's really smart.
But they thought I was at those tech events to be like general counsel or something.
Oh, okay, got you. They thought you were like fishing for their legal business.
And I was like, no, I don't. Or if I applied to jobs, they would say, oh, do you want to do something legal, related to legal, and I said absolutely not.
Well, people who go to law school usually want to write memos and all that stuff.
Oh God,
it's a part of the drill,
Yeah. So then
Blue Book days. Oh my gosh.
I was gonna say Blue Booking. You will die.
I know.
AI.
LexisNexis. Oh my God.
is gonna take over Blue Booking.
LexisNexis.
Blue Booking should not exist.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, Blue Booking. Yeah. So. Then I tried really hard to get into tech, and not having a technical background, it was tough. And I would go to these events, and I felt like people were just saying you don't belong here, right? Because of your not technical background. Cool, so you have some ideas, but who cares? And I kept at it, and then I was connected to this really great company that was an early stage startup in education, and things worked out. It all like
came together
perfectly, and so I worked for them for a couple of years, and while I was working for them, learned tons about the startup world. But still in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, the whole reason I have a career, the whole reason I'm doing this is for impact.
Okay.
Right? And how do we work with people who have been kept out of opportunity for whatever reason, because of where they were born, their zip code, their country, they have no access to the internet.
Right.
And so I thought I need to do something different, and I kept thinking, well, what value can I bring to the table? And so then I thought, well, I know what it's like to be an immigrant. I know what it's like to grow up as such in a new country. I know what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And there are millions and billions of people who are like that around the world. I think there are huge holes in the market in terms of people are being served in terms of their financial products and services. And that's where I started thinking about Convive, and I went back to that idea when I was at Cal and I had that scholarship and how I wanted to organize it, and I thought, it's been 10 years and no one's done it. And I started having conversations with people and banks, and no one was trying to do this, and so I said, well, I'll do it.
Right.
And
that's your calling.
Yeah, so I went to a startup weekend and I pitched this idea called Buckets.
Okay.
And I had some people help me, and so that's really when it started, and that's about 2 years ago. And then at some point I was introduced to Deep,
Okay.
and I showed him the PowerPoint of Buckets, and then he showed me this project he was working on. It was the same thing. He had to go to the bathroom and be like, oh my god, I can't believe it's the same thing.
No. Do you have a soundtrack for that moment?
No soundtracks. No soundtracks.
We need to do a whole soundtrack interview.
When it comes to celebrities, artists, names of songs, I don't care. I don't know.
God, when it comes to immigrants and finance, I got this.
Yes. Tell me about a TED Talk or a paper that I should read.
Or a podcast.
A podcast, yes.
What's your favorite podcast?
Wait, don't tell me, for sure. So I love comedy, and
Okay.
wait, don't tell me. It's basically the week's news. One of my goals in life is to be not a featured, but to be one of their guests on. Wait, don't tell me. Oh my god,
awesome.
that'd be amazing.
Nice.
It's gonna happen one
Let's
day.
make that happen. Wait, don't tell me. Producers, are you listening? So okay, so you connect with Deep, and then
Yes.
how did you guys decide to come together and merge Buckets with what was his business called before?
It wasn't.
Okay,
He just
his
had.
Nameless Buckets and the Nameless Business. Okay, how did you decide to kind of combine the two?
Yeah, so the two were almost the same thing. So the most important thing in working with Deep is I've been coming more into listening to my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went to the hackathon and when I was at that Lean Startup Conference, it was an intuitive thing of you belong here. This is where you're meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had been having conversations with different people who I thought we could work together on this type of project. There was a guy that I was working with for maybe 8 months or so, and we produced a financial literacy video series, and it didn't feel right.
Okay,
So
got it.
when I had a phone conversation with Deep, and his values were the type of values that would create a company like Convive, I told him, I said, I know we just had a phone conversation, but I really like where you're coming from, and I really like what you have in mind. I think we should meet up, and we should, I'll show you what I've been working on. I'd love to see what you're working on. And so he, again, obsessed with Starbucks. We met at a Starbucks, and
I feel like Starbucks is integral to startup stories. It's like Starbucks is so deeply ingrained in that whole Silicon Valley culture.
Yeah.
It's like it happened at a Starbucks.
Yeah. So one of those stories, we met at a Starbucks, and I remember after we talked and we showed each other what we were working on, and we mostly talked about the vision that we would have for a project like this or a company like this. I said, look, I've been looking for a co-founder for a while,
Uh-huh.
and I just have a feeling that
You're
you
the
and
one.
I need to build something together.
Aw.
We need to build something.
So did you co-founder propose? Was it
I
very
think so.
romantic? Did you take him for a nice dinner and where you look deep in my eyes?
No,
you want to be my co-founder?
nothing like that. But it was definitely.
There's no romantic co-founder story.
No,
Okay.
no.
No soundtracks and no dramatic
soundtrack.
stories.
No, sorry.
Girl. I don't know.
So yeah, it was though a very forward conversation where I said, I think we should work together, and then from then on we started working together, and we started meeting every week and figuring things out. And where we started was the vision, right? Like, why are we in this? What type of company that we want to build? How is it similar or different to what's out there? And that really set the foundation of what we were building. And then the sort of like the why came together first, and then the what exactly are we building came together. So we started doing the research and everything, and that's where we got to where we are now.
Nice. So where are you now?
So where are we now? Right now.
And what exactly does the company do?
Yeah, great question. Yeah. So there's the big picture, and then there's the more what we're doing and what we're focused on right now. So big picture, I like to start with big picture.
Okay. See, that's a lawyer in you. That's what all that law school, that's the LSAT, the bar, that's the whole thing. That's what it trains you to do. Look at the big picture than the small picture.
Yeah. So big
3
picture.
years didn't go to waste.
It did not. Absolutely did not. What we say is we're building financial ecosystems for emerging countries. So that's mostly who we're interested in. And by ecosystem, what we mean is we have sort of like working parts that work together. There's a money management piece that will work with a lending marketplace, and these two work together, and they result in a global credit score and a global financial identity for people who haven't been banked in the past or have been underbanked, so that credit scores and your financial information can cross over from country to country without you having to start over, right? Like that's what my parents had to do when they came to the United States, or even like my roommate right now from China. When you arrive, like China or Norway, you might have a cushy job, you might have like tons of money in your savings account, but all of your information from your finances does not carry over, and does not inform like a credit score that you have. So we want to build a global solutions for global people. So that's sort of the big picture. So small picture, where we're starting right now, we are building the core of what everything revolves around, which is the money management platform, which goes back to the bucketing thing. And this is tied to an artificial intelligence personal finance chatbot. So you can imagine like Siri,
on
Alexa,
Watson, right? Because Deep told me it was on Watson.
So right now it's on Watson, because
so I'm just learning like the hardcore. Like I'm trying to learn how to program and stuff. So Watson is my go-to thing. So anytime, like yesterday, I was talking to an engineer from Google, and he was like asking about something, and I was like, "Yeah, are you doing that on Watson?" And he was like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "I know."
So right now we're starting with Watson, but the goal is really to create our own artificial intelligence infrastructure. We want to, when I think of the engineers that are going to be working for us and the way that we think about finance, it really should be a different way of doing finance that hasn't been done before, for people for whom it hasn't been done before. So right now we're using tools that are out there to build the minimal viable product. And so we have a chatbot that's connected to a money management system that people can use, and then everything else we're working on.
Got you. Okay.
So it's still really bare bones. Like we're just starting.
Well, it's an MVP, so it's okay to start. Yeah. I mean, you have to start somewhere. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Exactly.
And most of the successful businesses, there's no such thing as an overnight success.
Yes.
Most people who become extraordinarily successful were like trying and trying. Michael Jackson was singing since he was like, I don't know, it's good talk. Beyonce's been at it for years. I mean, most of the successful business people, they've had multiple businesses. Some of them have had significant failures.
Yeah.
So you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
It starts with buckets.
It started with buckets.
Nice. Okay.